What's happening, ladies and germs? This is the PackerMan, and welcome to today's edition of All Elite Review, where today we're going to be talking about the 45th episode of Dynamite from September the 16th, 2020. And let me tell you something. This show was off the chains crazy, with a main event that kicks some major ass. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. The first match was a tag match between Jurassic Express and the tag team champions FTR. Before this match commenced, the Young Bucks came out after the Jurassic Express did and decided to super kick party the referee Mike Posey as part of their "don't give a flying shit" gimmick that they got going on right now. Then they go backstage and walk up to Tony Khan and basically say, "Oh, you want to fine us, Tony? There you go," and toss him another stack of $10,000. And then FTR was waiting by the entrance, waiting for their entrance music, and they basically taunted the Young Bucks, a little bit. So they're definitely going towards that FTR Young Bucks match further down the road. But I think they're going to let it simmer a little while longer. But this was a damn good opening match. There was some nice mat wrestling by Jungle Boy, good old school tag team wrestling by FTR. There was a double team front suplex by FTR on Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy had a rebound lariat on Cash, which looked nice. Luchasaurus gets the hot tag and starts cleaning FTR's clock. Then the Jurassic Express hit a tornado kick, sliding elbow combo on Dax for a 2 count. Jungle Boy hit a series of pinning combinations on FTR. Luchasaurus sends himself into the crowd once again. He seems to be getting more used to that. And then FTR steals the win with a roll-up and an assist that was unseen by the referee, and they get the 3 count and the victory. I gave this match 4 stars out of 5. It was a damn good opening match. And then they jump backstage to where Matt Hardy was attacked backstage, and it was obviously by Jericho with his baseball bat. And then Kenny Omega comes out to join commentary for the next match, which was Frankie Kazarian against Hangman Adam Page. This was another damn good match. And these were these two guys were part of the first 2 teams that won the tag titles, so that just goes to show you. Good mat wrestling by Kazarian, both hitting high impact springboard moves on each other. Hangman hit a springboard lariat and Kazarian hit a leg drop. Both start trading hard shots with each other. Page hit a standing shooting star press for a 2 count. Kaz hit his slingshot DDT for a 2 count. Page did a nice little pump handle Death Valley driver for a 2 count, which I personally had never seen him do before, which I thought was pretty cool. Kaz hit his slingshot cutter for a 2 count. Page does a counter on Kazarian into a sit-out powerbomb for a 2 count, which was nice. So Page dodged Kazarian's attempt at a scissors leg kick and hits him with the buckshot lariat for the 3 count and the victory. I gave this match 4 stars out of 5. And then afterwards, Kenny Omega basically got up from commentary and walked away without even joining Page in the ring. So it's pretty obvious that I think these two are going to have a little dust up in the near future. And we'll see the emergence of the cleaner from Kenny Omega. The next match was just a squash match. It was just basically a way to just put MJF over real quickly so he could get on the mic. It was against the Captain Shawn Dean, who pokes him in the eye and immediately locks in the Salt of the Earth for the submission win. Took just like 7 seconds, so I gave it 1 star out of 5. I mean, there wasn't anything to it. Afterwards, MJF grabs the mic and says that he's an honest man. You got bullshit. He says that he should be AEW champion and will be referred to as the uncrowned AEW champion. Yeah, good luck with that one. And he says that he may consider joining a stable, since it seems like everybody's joining a stable and that's where you find success. Then afterwards, Eddie Kingston, Lucha Brothers, and Butcher and the Blade come out. And Kingston basically does a bunch of spiel saying that we're not a stable, we're not a faction, we're a family. I don't know how you get a family out of this mishmash of tag teams, but okay. But they basically, Butcher and the Blade and the Lucha Brothers start attacking random wrestlers from ringside, start pulling them over, like doing the super kick party and the Black Heart and all this other shit, while Kingston is just directing traffic. And he still basically says that he was never eliminated from the Battle Royal, which I'll have to go back and look at it, see if he's actually being serious, but I don't know if he's being facetious or not, but you know. The next match was a tag match between Private Party and Chris Jericho and Jake Hager. Of course, obviously, Matt Hardy was supposed to be at ringside with Private Party, but of course, that's not happening. Private Party hits twin tope suicidas on Y2J and Hager. Of course, this is the highlights of the match. Private Party hit a double suplex on Hager for a 2 count. Cassidy uses a variation of the Lion Salt on Jericho for a 2 count. The Inner Circle start focusing on Cassidy's back after Hager basically hits Cassidy in the back with, I don't know if it was like a piece of wood or something like that. Private Party hits the silly string on Hager. Quinn hits a somersault plancha to the outside on Hager. Private Party do this nice little neckbreaker double stomp combo on Jericho for a 2 count. But Jericho hits the Judas effect on Cassidy, who sold it like he basically got killed. He had the twitching of the arm and shit for the 3 count. After he dodged Cassidy's attempt at the Swanton Bomb. Jericho locks Cassidy in the walls of Jericho after the match, but then Quinn makes the save by hitting Jericho with a Pele kick. So Jericho and Hager beginning to move up the ranks. They're 3-0 this year in tag team competition, and Jericho made it clear that they're going after the tag team titles. This was an alright match. I gave it 3 stars out of 5. And then the next match was for the NWA World Women's Championship between Ivelisse and Thunder Rosa. Now this came out, I think a day or 2 after the match. Apparently these two had a little heat with each other before the match, and then had some heat during the match. It looked like there were some miscommunications, which caused some frustration and turned it into a little bit of a shoot, where they started hitting each other basically nonplussed, basically, where they were just hitting each other with legitimate strikes. Strangely enough, it actually seemed to enhance the match a little bit. Because, I mean, they still went into the planned finish, so, I mean, you know, I think they were professional enough to at least get that far. So, you know, I don't know if there was, you know, something in the planning process that they just didn't agree with, or what the case was, but both hit acrobatic arm drags and Frankensteiners on one another. Ivelisse hit a flying knee strike for a 2 count, which looked really nice. Rosa was going for her inverted arm bar, but Ivelisse blocked it. And then Ivelisse tried to lock in a rear naked choke, but Rosa got out of that. Rosa hits her flying corner lariat, Meteora, and low drop kick for a 2 count. Ivelisse hit a nice tiger bomb for a 2 count. Rosa with a leg sweep into a crossface hold, but Ivelisse gets to the ropes. Ivelisse tried to go for her tornado DDT move from standing on the top rope, but Rosa countered into the Death Valley driver for a 2 count. Ivelisse hit the ride along, her snapmare into a rolling kick. Only got a 2 count though. And then Rosa tried to set up for the Thunder Driver, but she was having trouble adjusting. So she hit the Tombstone Pile Driver and got the 3 count and the victory. So I gave this match 3 stars out of 5. It was a bit sloppy at times, but it was still pretty alright. I mean, especially considering some of the women's matches that we've seen recently. Afterwards, Diamante attacks Rosa from behind, but Shida makes the save, grabs the NWA Women's Championship and places it back onto Rosa's shoulder, which is going to lead to a tag match between Ivelisse and Diamante against the NWA Women's Champion Thunder Rosa and the AEW Women's Champion Hikaru Shida. So that'll be interesting. And it'll be interesting to see if that heat's been smoothed over between Ivelisse and Thunder Rosa. Then you have a segment backstage with Miro and Kip talking about the upcoming wedding. Miro is doing presses, you know, and he was like, I want to destroy somebody, you know what I mean? And then you have Lance Archer coming out, of course, with Jake Roberts. He chokeslams Fuego del Sol, because of course he does. Roberts gets on the mic and calls Taz to the ring, saying that, you know, he's going to have to make a deal with the devil, or in this case, the Tasmanian devil, because there's going to be a 6-man tag match this coming Wednesday night between Archer, and 2 partners of his choosing against Jon Moxley and 2 partners of his choosing, since those 2 are going to be competing for the World Championship at the anniversary show of Dynamite on October the 14th. So, with Roberts calling Taz to the ring, it indicates that Brian Cage and Ricky Starks are going to be teaming with Archer on the agreement that if Archer wins the world title, he'll give Brian Cage the first championship match. So it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. Moxley comes out but gets jumped up in the stands by Cage and Starks, and then Big Will Hobbs, who recently got signed to AEW, an official contract. He's now officially All Elite, comes out and makes the save, and Moxley cuts a fiery promo basically putting over Will Hobbs, and also chooses Darby Allin for his teammates, which that one was pretty obvious. But Big Will Hobbs is getting a big push right now, which is pretty cool, I think, because now they're starting to get some homegrown talent. And I think Will Hobbs' performance in the Casino Battle Royal, I think, facilitated this push that he's now getting. Because he had been pretty much an enhancement talent beforehand, but after that Casino Battle Royal performance, AEW decided, you know what, let's push this guy and see what happens. And it seems like there's some people on social media that are really getting behind him. You know, and he's picked up a couple wins on Dark, so now he's trying. So now they're basically trying to kind of get his record back in order, because he was like 0-5, I think, before the Casino Battle Royal. Now he's 2-5, so they're trying to move him back up the rankings a little bit, I think, which I think is pretty cool. And then we get to the main event, the Parking Lot Brawl between the number 2 Best Friends and the number 5 Proud and Powerful. WWE, take notes. This is how you finally blow off a big feud, because these 2 teams have been feuding for months, and of course they all stem from Proud and Powerful destroying Trent's mother's van, and these 2 have been going at it ever since, trading wins back and forth. But then the previous week, Chuck was like, this has got to end, so we are going to end it with a parking lot brawl. Basically, you know, a type of match where a feud would come to an end. And my goodness, they went balls to the wall with this one. In fact, Dave Meltzer gave this match his first 5-star rating since the pandemic back in March, which I think says a lot, you know what I mean? And I wholeheartedly agree, because, you know, and it wasn't just the fact that, you know, this was a well put together match. As you all know, I am a huge fan of the hardcore style, and these guys just went balls to the wall with all kinds of weapons, throwing each other onto cars, you know, and all kinds of shit. The blood was flowing fast and furiously. And it ended with one of the funniest things I've seen to date. So, highlights of this match. Both teams start going at each other hard. Trent slams the hood of one of the cars onto Ortiz, and then both Chuck and Trent do sentons on the hood with Ortiz underneath. That had to suck. Best Friends position some plywood over the cab of a truck as kind of a makeshift table. That will come into play a little bit later. Santana got sent into a one of the car's side mirrors, and I think that actually busted him open hard way. Oh, by the way, Santana and Ortiz had the Dead President's face paint on, and you know, this is how you do it. I mean, even though Santana and Ortiz are heels, they're badass heels. You know, they're the kind of team that's just going to come into, you know, they're ready to fight. You know, they're not like these pussy-ass heels that you see in WWE all the fucking time. It seems like all the heels in WWE are just pussy-ass bitches. Whereas in AEW, these guys are heels, but they're ready to go to war. You know what I mean? Guy like Lance Archer, ready to go to war. Brian Cage, ready to go to war. You know what I mean? They may be heels, but they're badass heels. You know, not every single heel needs to be a pussy, because it's a tried and true trope, and it gets so old after a while, after seeing so many people, especially in WWE, being forced into that. But there was also one point where Trent slammed a big old piece of wood. I can't remember if it was on Santana or Ortiz, but it actually bounced up and actually caught him in the face a little bit. I think that's where he got his laceration over his eye. So that was a bit of self-inflicted damage there. Santana uses a steel pipe on the best friends. Ortiz grabs a sledgehammer and tosses it at one of the best friends, but of course he did it in a way that it wasn't actually going to hit him. It actually impaled one of the windshields. Ortiz suplexes Chuck on top of a car, with Santana doing a flying splash from the truck onto Trent, and only gets a 2 count. Trent spears Ortiz through a door that he set up against one of the cars. Trent is bleeding from the shoulder. Ortiz is bleeding from his elbow. Santana is bleeding from his forehead. And I think Chuck also ends up bleeding at some point from his arm. So the blood was just flowing in this match. I mean, this was all out war. And it was awesome. And it's like, this is how you blow off a feud. Chuck lays a guardrail on a car and suplexes Ortiz onto it. That definitely had to suck. Santana smashes a longboard over Trent's back. Ortiz powerbombs Trent on top of a car. And then the nastiest one, I think, of the match was Proud and Powerful doing a double powerbomb on Trent into a windshield. And there were just cuts all over Trent's back. And his back was just bleeding like fucking crazy. And then Chuck grabbed the baseball bat and was choking Santana with it, hit Ortiz in the gut with it, and then grabbed another piece of long plywood and started smashing it over Ortiz's back, and the board was just snapping in pieces. Then he gets back body dropped by Santana onto some plastic trash cans. And then Santana grabs, I think, another lead pipe, and Chuck's kind of laying up against one of the cars, and it looked like Santana was just going to brain him with the lead pipe, but then you could see Chuck kind of fumbling with, I think, some keys or something, and unlocking the trunk to the car that he was laying against, and who else but Orange Cassidy pops out of the trunk and hits Santana with an orange punch with a chain-wrapped fist, and then he carries Santana over to Chuck, who sets up on one of the cars, and it's a nice short pile driver on Santana onto the car. In the meantime, Ortiz and Trent were fighting over on the truck, and it looked like Ortiz was trying to set up for like a powerbomb or something on Trent, but Trent picks him up and hits the crunchy on Ortiz through the plywood in the back of the truck for the 3 count and the victory. So your winners are the best friends in one hell of a blow-off match. I was like, that's how you finish off a heated rivalry. And then the cherry on top of the cake is Trent's mother, Sue, comes and picks up the best friends, gives her son a hug, even though he's got blood covering him and shit. Orange Cassidy rides shotgun, and then Sue puts a hand out the window and flips off Proud and Powerful, and I was just dying laughing afterwards. In fact, you could see Trent fucking laughing his ass off when she did that. Absolutely fucking brilliant match. This was awesome sauce. I gave this full 5 stars out of 5. Yes, I think this is the 21st match in AEW history that I've given a 5-star rating to. It's not been that often since this pandemic, but I mean, what else can you say? I mean, this match was fucking awesome, and it blew off one intense feud between these two guys, or these two teams. And that was your show from this past Wednesday night. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention this on the previous review, which was actually a debrief, but AEW actually hit the 1 million mark since NXT was on Tuesday night once again, the previous week. AEW managed to crack the 1 million mark for just the 4th time ever, which was a big deal. But this week we're back to the Wednesday Night Wars, but AEW once again won handily, nearly getting to 900,000, while NXT struggled and got below 700,000. So, I mean, we all know what Vince is doing at this point, but I hope that the USA Network forces his hand and say, hey, we're tired of this fucking Wednesday Night War bullshit. Let's move this show to Tuesdays because we're getting more viewership not being up against AEW than, we are against AEW, this Wednesday Night War shit is just kind of nonsense. So, hopefully USA Network will force Vince's hand in that regard. But this was one hell of a show. Definitely a lot more enjoyable than some recent episodes. Although, to be fair, the recent episodes were also fairly easy to watch, and enjoyable in their own right. But this one just took it up to another notch, despite the fact that, they're still in the middle of this pandemic. They can't have a whole lot of fans in there, but they still put on one hell of a show. So, my final rating for this episode of Dynamite, I'll give it a good, solid 8 out of 10. Good job to everybody. There's going to be a lot of AEW this week. Tuesday, they're going to have AEW Dark. I have 11 matches again. And then at 10 p.m., they're going to have Late Night Dynamite, a special 1-hour edition. Not exactly sure why, but, it's whatever. That's not going to be reviewed. It's just going to be mentioned in passing. And I'll showcase the results and stuff beforehand. But we'll be getting ready for this coming Wednesday night where we're going to see some more incredible matches. And we're going to see a TNT Championship match between Brody Lee and Orange Cassidy. So that'll be interesting. And, of course, the 6-man tag. The women's tag I mentioned before, and lots of other stuff. So this Wednesday night on Dynamite's shaping up to be another pretty good show. But that's going to do it for this edition of All Elite Review. Thank you very much for watching. Here are my updated personal rankings. And until next time, this is the PackerMan signing out. See you later. You better like and subscribe or face the consequences. You have been warned.